Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've just got back from a 3-week sport climbing trip to a place called Chulilla in Spain. It's about an hour outside Valencia. One of my top places in Spain for sport climbing. You've got nice long limestone sport climbs up to around 40 meters. The village is stunning and the weather is generally better than the UK at this time of year. It's currently December, it's pretty dark, it's pretty damp. I spent most of last year climbing indoors, bouldering, bit of trad climbing, and quite a lot of time in the mountains, just having a great time. I find that when I go on a sport climbing trip, it usually takes me a couple of days to a week to really get back into the swing of clipping bolts. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my 5 top tips for leveling up your sport climbing performance. Tip number 1 is to make a conscious effort to commit the sequence to memory. I think one of the best ways to improve your sport climbing performance is to really consciously think about the sequence that you're climbing. The vast majority of climbers will just turn up at the crag, choose a route, and then climb it. And that's about as much thought as they'll put into the actual moves that they're climbing. But you can really improve your movement efficiency by consciously learning moves and then actually remembering those moves. So that includes the hand holds, the foot holds, the body positions, and how you link those positions together. But that can also include things like resting positions and clipping positions, and even like microbeater, like positions where you would chalk up. If you make a conscious effort to visualize those moves once you've learned them and commit that movement to memory, when you climb the route, especially when you're red pointing, you'll be so much more efficient and it can really make a difference to how difficult a route feels. Tip number 2 is that inefficient clipping can add a grade to the difficulty of your route. The position that you clip from, the hand that you use to clip with, the hold that you use to clip, whether you're above, whether you're below the clip, can all make a huge difference to how difficult it is to make that clip. And I think that the difficulty of a clip can have a huge impact on how hard a route feels. If you have a particularly difficult clip, it can really tire you out and can absolutely spoil your ability to climb harder moves later in the route. Another thing that can make a huge difference, especially if you're newer to the sport or you don't do a lot of sport climbing or indoor climbing, is the clipping technique itself. Spending an extra 5-10 seconds fumbling around and trying to get the rope into a quick draw, especially when you're on a small handhold, can absolutely tire you out and make the rest of the route so much harder. Another piece that people often overlook is microbeater, which can make a real big difference to your ability to make a clip. What I mean by that is not just putting the quick draw in the bolt and clipping it, but also thinking about the orientation of the quick draw and also the extension of the quick draw. This applies a little bit more to red pointing, but recently on a route that I climbed, I noticed that a particular clip was really, really hard for me. And it was a clip that I had to clip the rope with my left hand, and I'm far better at clipping with my left hand when the gate is facing to the right. So I can use my hand to push the rope into the quick draw. So what I did before my red point attempt is I rotated the quick draw around, and it made that clip so much easier, and genuinely it saved me probably 5% of the effort that it was taking to make that clip. Tip number 3 is to work routes efficiently. Now this can mean a lot of different things, but one of the main things that you can do to improve how efficient it is to work the route is to just communicate with your belayer. If you're both on the same page before you start climbing, they know exactly what to expect. So if you're red pointing a route and you expect to be dangling on the rope quite a lot, just the belayer having a bit of a heads up in advance and not being surprised when you fling yourself off for a rest can make it so much easier for you to work the route. So for example, if you get to a position where you need to have a rest, the belayer is prepared to take it tight and for you to rest straight away. There's nothing more frustrating than when you shout take, sit on the rope and drop 50 centimeters, and then you have to expel energy, like pulling yourself back up to that position that you were previously in. Another thing the belayer can do to help with the efficiency of working a route is use something like a gree-gree. It means that they don't get tired holding onto the rope for hours on end whilst you're dangling around trying to figure the moves out. And it can really make the belayer's life easier, but it can also make your life easier because the belayer isn't frustrated at having to hold onto the rope. They're also getting tired. They're getting cold. So things like a gree-gree, they make a huge difference. Don't be afraid to use the tools that you have at your disposal to improve the amount of energy or decrease the amount of energy that you spend whilst working a route. So that could mean using a clip stick to clip past a tricky section. If you've already spent half an hour working the bottom part of the route and you get to the crux and you're already so tired, there's no point trying to climb the crux on that go. Use a clip stick to go past the crux, figure the top section out, and come back to the crux later when you're less tired. Clip sticks are great for helping you do that. Pulling on the quick draws, another really easy way to get past the harder section, especially when you're working a route. Just grab a quick draw. Nice sport quick draws with chunky tapes can really help with this. You can pop the draw in the bolt, grab the tape, pull yourself past the hard section. You're trying to be efficient with your energy. You're not trying to do everything all at once, and you're using the tools that you have to get past the hard sections whilst working the route, so that when you come to red point the route, you've saved some of that energy. The same can be said for pulling on the rope. Again, don't be afraid to pull on the rope to get past a section. If it's difficult, you're already tired, you need to figure out the rest of the route, come back to it later, just pull on the rope to get past it. That kind of links back with the belayer tip as well. If the belayer is prepared for you to be pulling on the rope, if they're using a gree-gree, it's way easier for them to weight the rope and to help you pull past harder sections. That can just absolutely transform the red pointing process in particular. Tip number 4 is that climbing is only half of the battle. I know that when you turn up at the crag and you're psyched to climb and you've got a limited time window, the temptation is to just go, 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 go all day. But you need to remember that resting between climbs and also resting between working goes is super important for maximizing the amount of climbing that you can do in a day and also maximizing your performance on a route that's at your limit. So this means when you finish your red point attempt or when you finish your working go, get down to the base of the crag, chill out, sit down. Don't just sit there and scroll on Instagram, but take the time to visualize the route. Think about what just happened on your last go. How can you improve? What can you tweak? What didn't go so well? What went well? Every single time you get on the wall is an opportunity to learn something, but you learn the most effectively in those chunks of time between red point attempts or between working goes. You should also be eating, refueling, drinking. Think about what your body needs to perform at the absolute limit. Have a process that you follow and fine-tune that process in the same way that you fine-tune the climbing and you fine-tune the route. What works for me isn't going to work for you. So this is something that you develop over time. Personally, after I've had a working go, I get down, I have a snack. Maybe it's a banana, maybe it's some cake, maybe it's a biscuit, like something which is like sweet and makes me feel a bit sort of happy. And, you know, if it's really cold and you're at the crag, it's nice sometimes just to have a little sweet sort of snack. That means that I'm then down, I put my jacket on, I have my snack, and I have my hot drink or my sweet drink or something which I know is going to perk me up in that moment and help me feel re-energized. Then maybe I'll rest for half an hour, sometimes an hour, depending on whether I'm red pointing the route, whether I'm working the route, how long the route is, the style of route, all of these kind of things. It's just something that you have to develop with practice. The main thing though, that I will repeat time and time again is reflection. Every single time you pull on the route is an opportunity to learn something, but you're only going to learn something if you're deliberately reflecting on what just happened. So take the time between attempts to reflect and learn. Tip number 5, and possibly the most important tip of all, is to get comfortable falling. If you're not comfortable falling, it leads to hesitation, it leads to inefficient movement. Ultimately, that causes you to fall off. One of the best ways to improve that is to take some practice falls. Now, everybody who climbs indoors or everybody who climbs outdoors has heard about falling practice, practice falling, and most people are aware of the positive impacts that can have on your climbing. Something that I would highly recommend is actually taking practice falls on the route that you're trying. Now, obviously, this is a little bit harder if you're trying to on-site a route, but if you're red pointing a route, it's really useful. And it's something that I've personally found really useful to climb into a position where I feel a bit scared of the fall. I'm a bit unsure about where I'm going to land, what the fall might feel like, how far I'm going to fall, and deliberately take those practice falls. That can remove a huge amount of the unknown from climbing, and especially red pointing. Now, obviously, make sure you do that with a belayer who you're happy with, who you know is solid, who is prepared, and is going to give you a soft catch, because that can have the opposite effect, and it can make you more scared and it can make you more tense if you have a bad experience. But if you can make it a positive experience and you can have a good, soft, positive fall, when you're on the red point attempt, that's no longer in the back of your mind, and that can really improve your climbing, and it can really make you climb so much better. Forming these 5 tips as habits and thinking about them every time you go to the crag can have such a big impact on your sport climbing performance. They also have a massive impact on the other disciplines as well, and they're totally transferable to bouldering, climbing indoors, and trad climbing. I'm really curious to know what your top sport climbing tips are and what's helped you level up your sport climbing performance. So please drop a comment below with any tips which you think other people might benefit from. If you found this video useful, and if you found these tips useful, please give the video a like. I've got loads more videos lined up, so subscribe for more.